I figured I'd take you guys along for the ride. So let's first go over what we really have growing up here. So starting here, we have sage, lavender. Yeah, so first up we have lavender here. And as you can see, it's going to flower. All right, and I'm really trying to save all these plants because I haven't got the seeds. I haven't got the most bountiful part of this plant yet. So I'm definitely trying to save these and try and put them to the side so that I can eventually place them back in the ground once they're done with the excavation. So yeah, we have the lavender here. Get a close up of those flowers if we can. And I want you to see this one because the tint of purple, we have another one down here that's such a deeper color and it's beautiful. Okay, then we have marigolds in the back. Marigolds are a annual, so we have to replant those every year. So I'm not as concerned with those, but I will still try to move them over to the side. They help keep bugs away. Uh, Over here, we have one of our sages, or this may actually be two plants. I think this is just one plant that's just growing really big. So here's the sage, growing lovely. No signs of flowering. Okay, then we have stevia over here, and as you can see, it's flowering as well. So I would definitely love to get the seeds over here, and I really haven't harvested as much leaves from it as I wanted to over the growing season. We have another lavender over here. Oh, yep, more marigolds. It's okay. Beautiful stevia. I'm gonna keep going over. It's more marigold there. We have another lavender here. This one is starting to flower too. They're all just taking their time. Yeah, it's just plenty of time for it to keep going. Now here's the biggest patch of sage we have here, and I believe this is only two plants here. But these two plants alone just bushed up gorgeously. Smells so fragrant. Just a quick rub of the hands, that's all you need. Sage goes great in teas. You can burn it, you can smoke it. More marigolds. And then I want you guys to see this lavender here. So if we can see if we can get that to focus in. Oh, look at that deep, beautiful purple. Wow. So I'm really excited to take part in these, and all the ones that are growing off of here are pretty much the same way. But you can see this one kind of bushed out the most, and so it may be some difficulty transplanting this one, but we're gonna make it happen. Over here, we have some thyme. This is about, I think it's actually four plants. One, two, three, and four. This one is actually kind of getting engulfed by the marigolds a little bit. And then we have another color marigold right here. And the marigolds, I don't think I mentioned that before, are actually good for keeping insects away. And they are truly a beautiful flower. So they're a nice addition to your garden. Do not expect these to be the plant you need to bring bees around, because bees don't really fool with these because of the smell of them. But there's so many other plants that other flowers that you can add into your garden to help with that part. I'll do some videos on that later. And then we're coming into this beauty here, the catnip. And this is about 3 catnip plants, I believe. I had 4 originally. I think one died back. And on my Instagram, this is where I actually cut back all the flowers when they first popped up, and it grew out and bushed up even more. So I'm glad that I did that, and I can see how it just is flourishing. It looks beautiful. And then we can take a look at these flowers right here real closely, because it's going to flower on some of these as well too. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, and catnip is good for sleep, digestive. Nice herb to add in. So this has been a whole summer's work. We've been working on gardening through the past couple of years, and this mulch has definitely been a great addition to the garden. And not to be overlooked, we also have dandelion back there as well. And this is all just growing here nice and perfectly, so I'm going to also harvest that as well too for the leaves and the roots a little later. One more. We also have plantain. As you see, this went to seed a long time ago, so I need to finish cutting it. I cut a lot of these off, but even through that, the leaves are starting to grow back again. They died back when the flowers started coming up, and now the leaves are coming back. So I may go ahead and cut these back off too as well. I may cut these back off and see if I can get some leaves off again before the year is over with. And then this is where we had our kale. I already did a video on transplanting that. Well, a little small little clips on my story on Instagram, but I actually transplanted this to the backyard because yes, my entire front yard will have to be dug out and get some waterproofing done and stuff like that. So, you know, we're gonna have to do a little destroying to create something new. Okay? And so even this area over here, you see all these bushes. All these bushes you see over here will be gone as well too. And it's gonna be a great thing because once that happens, you know, this is more garden space. And I was already slowly working my way over with removing bushes, but now once this happens, we can just go full-fledged, non-stop garden life, all that good stuff. And lastly, this little bush over here, we'll be pulling that one as well too, and that'll be more on the slope. So we're just really gonna get a lot of experimenting going on here. So now I'm gonna go over here to the sage and probably the catnip as well, and we're gonna go ahead and cut some of that off just to make it easier to get to and access, so we can kind of see what's going on, and to make sure I preserve some of that. And then we'll go through the process of actually digging up and transplanting these plants, which really I won't be transplanting them. I will be more so setting them to the side until they complete the work they're doing, and then I'll put them back. All right, so now we're gonna cut out some of this sage over here that we have to make sure we go ahead and preserve that so I can use it for culinary uses, as well as I love making teas with it as well. So I'm not gonna cut it all off, but I'm just gonna make it where I can see a little bit more of what's going on. These two plants are kind of growing into each other, and you always gotta look at the bright side of things. So by me doing this as well, I've learned a lot about how these plants grow. So now I know the spacing a little bit better. So when I put them back, I'll make sure that they have enough room to really expand. Now, you come in here and I can show you how I'm cutting this. So when we cut it, we want to cut at an angle. So you see how I cut that right there at an angle. Okay, so got me a little tray over here. I'm gonna fill this up a little bit and get onto it. Sage Almighty. Ooh, now look at that. See all those new ones popping up? So I'm going to focus on trying to, now that I noticed that, I'm going to focus on trying more sort of just go for the bigger leaves only, because I want more new growth. You know, I don't want to impede the progress. But I'm going to cut a little bit more of this back, and we'll get back with you in a few. Go. Alright, so as you can see, we cut it back. It was actually going into this plant over here, so by cutting it back, I can now see the bottom a lot better and really see what's going on here, and then make it a lot easier for me to cut into that. And then plus I'll have sage to the side just in case this transplant doesn't work. Alright, and so then we have our stevia over here, and just now that we have a little more space, you can just take a look at how this thing grows. You see how so I actually have it propped up with a brick, but I guess the plant began leaning over, so I had to just come back in and do something with it. But these, I'm not gonna actually harvest them right now. You know what? I'm actually gonna harvest one, just because I want to see what the actual flower tastes like as well. But the rest of it, I'm just gonna do this one that's hanging over here to the side. Same practice. By cutting it at an angle, might as well get all of that. This is just crazy how this thing grew. Okay, and you can see that right there. Plenty of leaves all over it. And I'm actually gonna try a stevia with the flowers. And stevia is sweet. It does have a little bit of an aftertaste to it as well. But yeah. So now I'm gonna move over here to the next stage and do the same thing. So and I definitely need to do over here because I really can't see what I actually have going on. So they just end up making a mess. I end up cutting roots up and all kind of stuff. So yeah, just rinse, cycle, repeat. Some of this I'm trying to figure out the best way to go about it, but I have isolated. I know this is one, and got others up here. So I'm gonna get some of this stuff that's kind of laying to the side and in the dirt. I don't want to take the whole thing up from the root right there, but let's see what we can get. And in most plants, you can see the leaves that touch the ground usually end up browning. When leaves are touching the ground, that leaves the plant more susceptible to infections and things of that nature. So that's another good reason to prune your plant as you go, and it's definitely good to take the leaves off because otherwise, what are you running for? They are beautiful, but you might as well take advantage of the beautiful life that they can put in your body. You're gonna be doing a lot of that after this harvest, because this is really outside of what I put in meals and the teas I make. Overall, this plant has been, we haven't done, this will be the first harvest of this plant since we planted it, and that was in the spring of this year, 2020. More of a understanding of what we got going on here, so I can clearly see plant. They have definitely grown out, man. This is crazy. I just think how much this plant has come out to be. And I'll show you just off of what we've harvested so far. And then you look and see there's still plenty more to go from there. So that's leaving a nice amount for the plant to still continue to grow and everything like that. Same thing over there with this one. We did the same thing. And yeah, so I'm gonna set this to the side. I'm actually gonna probably hang it out to dry. And I want some of it fresh too. I just love to take the time. We have sage and everything like that. So we'll put this down to the side. The lavender, I'm more so gonna leave that as it is and harvest that once the flowers have come up and done their thing. And as I said, the stevia, only took one off of there just to try to flower out. And we're gonna head over here to the thyme and kind of cut those back as well. And then, yeah. So I'm gonna keep the same practice going, cutting at the angle. And I'm really gonna get all the way down in here, get as much out as I possibly can. Same things going on here. As it touches the ground, you kind of see it changing a little bit. So we want the lively ones that are sitting up straight. But the reason they did that is to kind of spread out and so that more could go up and get to the sun and everything like that. So I'm not knocking the plant for what it did in the least bit. But look at that. Take me to the farmer's market, baby. Okay, let's see what else we can do here. Oh man, as you're cutting it, it's just so much aroma coming off. Smell it, baby.
I smell it.
Okay.
Smells great.
Looks great too.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you guys can see, I cut it back quite a bit. I did a couple different things. I left this one a lot more bushier, and I cut this one back kind of tight. Same thing here. might even cut this last little bit off over here. I haven't decided yet. But before I cut this last piece off of this plant over here, I wanted to kind of show you guys the beauty of nature, how it's just going to survive no matter what. So this thing is sitting down like that. And you see what the leaves all start doing. All the branches began just growing up to the top. So that's just such an interesting, and I can cut it off so you can see it a little bit better. As you see right there, it was laying down, but they're like, nah, dog, we're gonna get that sunlight no matter what. And it just started, boom, sprouting up to the top. So that's a beautiful process. Just watching nature work. And then if you look here, it's the yield we got right here. All that time. Who don't got time? Who ain't got time?
We have time.
Yeah, plenty of time. Feel me? So yeah, so I'm gonna leave that be for now. As I take the other plants out, I may come back and get this last little section right here, just so it's all standing up on this one plant. But I haven't decided yet. And now we're gonna come over here to the catnip and get the same thing going, so I can kind of see what's going on. Now definitely I'm gonna avoid these flowers over here. But I wanted to go to seed. I need that. I want that. Now, catnip is in the mint family, so it does grow in that same type of manner with runners. So once I get to somewhere and it's established for real, it should just spread out on its own without me having to worry about the seeds. But I would like to keep them on the side just in case, and I like to spread that with my family members and everything too. So let me give you a quick little example of what one of these stems look like, because that's also interesting as well. We'll come over here into the light, and I'll show you the difference between how you can identify a mint, something in the mint family. So if you can see here, see how that's flat on all sides? So it's actually got a square stem. And so observation is key. See that? I don't know how well it's coming up in the camera, but yep, flat, right? And then this one right here is the sage. And while it's kind of flat on the sides, it has more of a roundness to it as well. But it's actually flatter on the sides than I thought it would be. But it's a little bit more rounder. So yeah, that's a little difference there. And of course on the thyme, I'll have to even bring that over, but thyme definitely has a more rounded stem. And I believe I have one more of these trays. Get back to it, and I'm just telling you, as you're out here just cutting stuff out, you're just smelling all this goodness, and every plant has its own unique scent to it, and you can almost kind of smell what it's gonna do for you. The thyme smells like a cleaner. You know, this right here smells. It has a faint smell. It's strong and faint. It's kind of hard to explain, but it smells like something that'll put you to sleep. So yeah, just trying to see what we actually have going. So this right here is all one plant. Then this is all one plant over here, and then this is all one plant over here. So I'm gonna just do a couple good snips in here, and I'm gonna let it rock out. And it's crazy because more and more sprouts are just popping at the bottom, popping up. And also, I'm not just cutting it back just because I want to preserve it in that manner. Also, I'm cutting it back because when I go to store this, I'm actually got that green, what do you want to call that? Cart. That green cart I got over there. That's what I'm going to pretty much put everything into. That's pretty much of a tight space, so I'm going to try and cut these back so that they can fit in there without, you know, smutting each other out and stuff. Right now I want them growing more up than out at the moment. But once we get them planted back out in the ground, then yeah, I want the bushes. I want everything bushing up. And I'm trying to avoid the ones with flowers like I said before. So if you come look over here, this right here just made a great difference on this as well. As you can see, it just cleared a lot of space, so now I can see what's going on. So that's what we want, some space up in here. And as you see that happening with your plants, that's one thing you can do. Nobody wants to have a garden out here where everything looks like this. Over here, how that kind of, these just fell over, but you don't want all that spacing in there. So, but as they grow together, you just chop back a little bit and just let it come back out again, because it will. If you're doing them right, you treat them good, So this is a little bit of the harvest we have so far. I'm gonna probably cut it back just a tiny bit more. And yeah, this white stuff you see on here is actually done by me. That's actually diatomaceous earth that I sprayed out here because I started seeing a couple holes in the leaves. Now you see it's a bug right there actually. So I did that to kind of ward off some of these bugs. Before I take this in the house, I'm gonna definitely make sure I shake all these plants off and everything, and shake any bugs that will come loose off of them. And I'll definitely be inspecting it as I go through things as well. So I'll probably cut this back just a tad bit more. I just can't. I can't bring myself to really cut this. I'm loving the way this looks. So I'll take a little bit more off the catnip, probably that other piece I saw on the thyme over there, and then we'll start back with the very first lavender and go ahead and dig that one out. So we'll be back to you soon. Peace. Did all the pruning we're really gonna do for now. So now it's time to go ahead and start pulling them out. But we'll do one last little walkthrough to just show you how it looks now after we've pruned everything back. So we really only prune the sage, the 2 sages, and the thyme, and the catnip. Here's what our harvest looks like. Plenty of thyme here. You kind of see the real amount we have here when we pull it up, and then we got the catnip. And I'm sipping on some spirulina right now. I alternate between spirulina and moringa. Both of them are both nutrient dense, and also you see all this green in there. It's so green it's almost black the way it looks right here. But this is prepping me for the sunlight we're in right now, so I can soak it up the best. Getting that photosynthesis on, you know what I'm saying? Peace. Go ahead and start working on getting this first plant out, which is my lavender here. I went ahead and took out the marigolds behind it just to make it easier to get to. This should be a pretty simple process. This is really my first time moving a plant that has grown this big into another spot. The only challenge that I feel like I may have is the fact that underneath this soil that we put on top is a bunch of red clay. But nevertheless, we're gonna give it a shot and see what we come out with. We're definitely open to constructive criticism, so please help us out if you have any suggestions moving forward. So I went ahead and loosened the dirt up over here. We're just gonna take it around. You get that crunch. It's crunching down into the mud, and whoever's here prior to us put a bunch of rocks up here. It's Rock City, so I'm just trying to get a nice little startup going around it. And the other one came out pretty easy, so hopefully that's the same case here. Rocks all up in this thing. But nevertheless, I had this one side over here that was pretty that it decided lifting up on pretty well, so I'm gonna try it from over here, this angle. Okay. Let's see what we can do. Little worm. Basically use this as a wedge, kinda. Alright. We ain't got that far to take it, but looks like about a mile. So. Oh, she a big one. Maybe I should lift it up with the shovel, and then you just try and keep it compact around. Okay. Alright. Let me know when you're ready. I'm ready. Yeah, don't worry about everything should dirt falling around. Just be worried about the roots and keeping them safe. beautiful dirt. Just maybe just try and get a hold around the bottom of it or whatever. Or the sides, just something that's sturdy. Even if it's just around here. And I'll try and do the rest for that. You ready?
Yeah.
All the rocks they got. Okay.
Yeah. Ready? Oh, that's nice. That came out nice.
Yeah, where does that go? Alright, so just even seeing this, they had a plastic bags or something in here before, and they put rocks on top of the bag to hold it down. And I just planted stuff on top of this. I didn't really dig that deep into the soil to find all that out, but before I put everything back out here, I'll make sure I take this plastic out of here, and really the rocks, because they're not serving too much purpose as far as that goes. It's just making it difficult for me to dig down into it. So yeah, we're gonna go through here and clean this whole thing out. That's what we put it in. We put it in this over here. Just because of the sheer size of it, I don't have enough containers to put that into. So I'll definitely put some wood chips on the bottom to try and keep it off of this material here. And as I put more plants in, maybe I'll put a little dirt around it just so that the roots aren't getting dried out like that. And I also have a couple of containers over here that I'll use. Yeah, and so we have a couple of containers over here that we'll be using to put some of the smaller ones in as well. Like I put the marigold over there. I know the marigolds won't make it from year to year, but I want them to at least last long enough for the flowers to dry out, flowers to dry out, so that I can take the seeds out of those and have them to plant for next year, without having to keep on buying starter plants and things of that nature. So yeah, more goodies to come in the future. Peace, love, light. Jason, Chloe, Reed Solistic.